The Silent Observers, the Galactic Monitoring Station. Epsilon hung in the void between stars like a crystalline spider web, its sensors reaching out across thousands of light-years to catalog every civilization worth watching. For 3,000 years, the station had served as the eyes and ears of the consortium, a collective of ancient species that had long ago learned the art of patient observation. Commander Zrixtal adjusted his sensory tendrils as he reviewed the latest reports from Sector 7 Alpha. The insectoid being had overseen this monitoring station for over 2 centuries, and in all that time, nothing had surprised him. Civilizations rose and fell in predictable patterns. Species developed faster than light, travel, joined the galactic community and settled into their assigned roles. It was a dance as old as the galaxy itself, but today, something was different. "Commander," called out Analyst Veltara, her serpentine form coiled around her workstation. "The Sol system readings are showing anomalies again. The humans have achieved another technological breakthrough." Zrixtal's compound eyes focused on the holographic display that materialized before him. Earth, that small blue world in an unremarkable star system, had been under observation for only 50 of their years. When the humans had first achieved nuclear fission, they had been classified as a Level 2 civilization with an estimated 1,000-year timeline to achieve interstellar capability. The timeline had been revised 17 times in the past decade. "Show me the latest developments," Zrixtal commanded, his voice carrying the authority of countless years watching lesser species fumble their way toward mediocrity. The hologram shifted, displaying a sleek vessel unlike anything in the galactic databases. The ship was massive, nearly 2 kilometers in length, with a design that somehow managed to be both elegant and threatening. Its hull bristled with weapons that the monitoring station's computers couldn't fully identify. "They call it the UES Prometheus," Veltara reported, her forked tongue tasting the air nervously. "Our long-range scans indicate it incorporates technologies that shouldn't be possible for a species at their development level. Gravitational manipulation, quantum entanglement communications, and what appears to be some form of space-time distortion. Drive." Zrixtal felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. In 3 millennia of observation, no species had ever developed such advanced technology so quickly. The humans had gone from splitting atoms to bending space-time in less than a century. It was unprecedented. "Contact the Consortium Council," he ordered. "Priority Alpha classification." Within hours, representatives from across the galaxy had assembled in the station's council chamber. The room filled with beings of every conceivable form. The gaseous ethereals floating in their containment fields. The rock-like granite lords, who communicated through harmonic vibrations. The energy-based luminari who existed as patterns of living light. And dozens of others. High Counselor Morthak, an ancient being whose crystalline body had witnessed the rise and fall of hundreds of civilizations, spoke first. His voice resonated through the chamber like the sound of breaking glass. "The human situation has escalated beyond our initial projections. They represent a potential disruption to galactic stability." Counselor Ythara of the Ethereal Collective pulsed with agitation. "Their rate of advancement is impossible. No species develops this quickly without external intervention. They must have discovered ancient technology or made contact with a higher civilization." "Our scans show no evidence of such contact," Zrixtal reported. "The humans appear to be developing these technologies independently. Their scientific method is aggressive. They test theories that we would consider too dangerous, explore concepts that other species avoid." The chamber fell silent. The concept of a species that willingly embraced dangerous knowledge was alien to most of the assembled civilizations. They had learned caution over millennia, understanding that some paths of development led to self-destruction. Granite Lord Kethmore's harmonic voice rumbled through the floor. "What is their military capability?" "Unknown," Veltara admitted. "The Prometheus appears to be their first true interstellar vessel, but our analysis suggests it's far more advanced than anything we've seen from a developing species. If their rate of advancement continues, they could surpass some of our own technologies within decades rather than millennia." The implications hung heavy in the chamber. The galactic order had been stable for thousands of years precisely because new species were integrated slowly, carefully over generations. They were given time to mature, to understand their place in the greater cosmic community. High Counselor Morthak's crystalline form flickered with decision light. We cannot allow an unpredictable element to destabilize the peace we have maintained. The humans must be contained until they can be properly evaluated and integrated. And if they resist, asked ethereal Yathara, then we remind them why the consortium has maintained order for 3 millennia. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, watching the stars wheel past as her ship cut through space at velocities that would have been impossible just years earlier. The daughter of Mexican immigrants who had dreamed of the stars, she had worked her way up through the ranks of Earth's newly formed Space Command, through determination and an intuitive understanding of three-dimensional combat. At 35, she was the youngest captain in the fleet, commanding humanity's most advanced vessel on its maiden voyage to Alpha Centauri. The mission was supposed to be routine: test the new drive systems, establish humanity's first interstellar outpost, and return with data that would guide the next phase of expansion. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen from the sensor station, "we're detecting multiple contacts ahead. Large vessels, unknown configuration." Elena frowned. Nothing in the mission briefings had mentioned other ships in this region of space. "Put them on screen." The main display filled with the image of vessels unlike anything in Earth's databases. They were clearly artificial, but their designs seemed to follow no consistent pattern. Some appeared crystalline, others looked like they were grown rather than built, and a few seemed to be made of pure energy contained within force fields. "Ma'am," reported Commander James Mitchell, the ship's tactical officer, "I'm reading 12 ships in a standard containment formation. They're surrounding us." Elena's training kicked in. She had studied every historical naval encounter, from ancient sea battles to orbital conflicts around Jupiter's moons. This was a classic interception pattern, designed to prevent escape rather than immediate attack. "Communications, open a channel on all frequencies." "Channel open, Captain." "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth ship Prometheus. We are on a peaceful scientific mission. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." The response came in perfect English, though the voice carried harmonics that no human throat could produce. "Human vessel, you are Commander Zrixtal of the Galactic Consortium Monitoring Station. Your species has been classified as a potential threat to galactic stability. You will surrender your vessel for inspection and return to your home system immediately." Elena felt her crew tense around her. Humanity had always known that other intelligent life likely existed, but first contact was supposed to happen on humanity's terms, when they were ready. "Commander Zrixtal, we appreciate your concern, but we cannot comply with your request. We are operating in interstellar space, and we have committed no hostile acts. Your species' rate of technological development constitutes a threat in itself. You will comply, or we will be forced to take action." Elena looked at her tactical display. The alien ships were larger than the Prometheus, and there were 12 of them. By any reasonable assessment, resistance would be suicide. But Elena Vasquez had not become the youngest captain in the fleet by making reasonable assessments. "Tactical, what's our status?" "All weapon systems online. The new plasma cannons are showing green across the board. Shields are at maximum capacity." Elena smiled, grimly. The Prometheus had been designed by humans who understood that the universe might not always be friendly. Every system on the ship had been built with conflict in mind, even if the mission planners hoped it would never be necessary. "Communications, send a message to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. First contact achieved. Situation hostile. Am engaging. Helm, evasive maneuvers. Tactical, target the largest vessel. All weapons fire at will." The Prometheus erupted into motion with a grace that surprised even her crew. The ship's new gravitational drive allowed for accelerations and course changes that defied conventional physics. Plasma bolts streaked out from the human vessel, striking the lead alien ship with devastating accuracy. The effect was immediate and shocking. The crystalline vessel's shields flared and collapsed, and sections of its hull began to fracture under the assault. Elena watched in amazement as the alien ship, which had seemed so impossibly advanced, began to list and fall back from the engagement. "Their technology is sophisticated but fragile," reported Commander Mitchell. "They're not built for this kind of punishment." The remaining alien vessels opened fire, energy beams and projectiles filling space around the Prometheus. But Elena had trained for this, had studied combat in 3 dimensions where there was no up or down, no terrain to hide behind. She had her helmsman execute a maneuver that sent the human ship diving below the enemy formation, while rotating to keep all weapons bearing on targets. It was a tactic that no cautious, methodical species would attempt. It was dangerous, unpredictable, and required split-second timing to avoid collision with friendly fire. It was perfectly human. 3 more alien vessels took critical damage before the remaining ships began to withdraw. Elena watched them retreat and felt a mixture of pride and concern. Humanity had won its first interstellar battle, but she doubted it would be the last. "Captain," Lieutenant Commander Chen called out, "I'm reading massive hyperspace signatures throughout the sector. Hundreds of ships are moving toward this position." Elena nodded grimly. The easy part was over. Now humanity would face the real test, set course for Earth, maximum speed, and send another message to command. Tell them that contact has been established and we're not alone out here. Tell them that the galaxy just learned that humans don't surrender. As the Prometheus raced toward home, carrying news that would change everything, the alien ships that had retreated began transmitting urgent messages across the galaxy. For the first time in 3 millennia, the consortium faced a species that fought back, that refused to accept the established order. In council chambers across dozens of worlds, ancient beings who had maintained galactic peace through patient observation and careful control began to prepare for something they had never expected to face: a war with a species that had been developing for less than 1,000,000 years. The humans had made their statement. Now the galaxy would respond. When giants awaken, the emergency session of the Consortium Council convened in the Great Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime, a space station the size of a small moon that had served as the galactic capital for over 2,000 years. Representatives from every major civilization in the galaxy had gathered, their various forms filling the vast chamber with a cacophony of different atmospheric requirements, gravitational fields, and communication methods. High Counselor Morthax, crystalline body pulsed with urgent patterns as he addressed the assembly. "The human vessel designated Prometheus has successfully fought off our containment fleet and returned to their home system. Our casualties were light, but the implications are severe." Murmurs rippled through the chamber as beings who had not known warfare for millennia tried to process the concept of a developing species successfully resisting consortium authority. Admiral Telvoth of the Vanguard Fleet, a being of living metal, who had commanded galactic peacekeeping forces for 8 centuries, stepped forward. The humans' tactics were completely unpredictable. They fought with a combination of aggression and tactical innovation that our computers could not counter. They treated space combat as if it were 3-dimensional warfare rather than the orderly exchange of fire that civilized species practice. Counselor Yathara of the Ethereal Collective pulsed with agitation. "We cannot allow this precedent to stand. If other developing species learn that the consortium can be challenged, it will destabilize the entire galactic order." "What do we know of their current military capabilities?" asked Granite Lord Kethmore, his harmonic voice creating vibrations that every being in the chamber could feel. Commander Zrixtal, still bearing the humiliation of his fleet's retreat, activated a holographic display. "Long-range sensors indicate massive industrial activity throughout their system. They appear to be constructing additional vessels at an unprecedented rate. Our analysis suggests they will have a fleet of at least 50 ships within 6 months." The chamber fell silent. Most species took centuries to build their first interstellar fleets. The humans were doing it in months. High Counselor Morthak's decision light flickered with resolve. "We cannot wait for them to achieve parity with our forces." Admiral Telvoth, You will take the Third Fleet to the Sol system and demonstrate the consequences of defying galactic order. Use minimum necessary force, but ensure they understand their place. Admiral Telvoth's metallic form shifted into an expression of acknowledgement. The Third Fleet consists of 200 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts. It should be more than sufficient to contain a single system of primitives. On Earth, Admiral Marcus Stone stood in the war room deep beneath Colorado's Cheyenne Mountain, studying holographic displays that showed the approaching alien fleet. At 62, he had commanded naval forces in 3 different oceans before, transitioning to Space Command when humanity reached for the stars. His weathered face bore the scars of conflicts fought on distant worlds and in the vacuum of space. 200 ships, reported Colonel Lisa Park, his chief of staff. ETA 72 hours. Intelligence estimates they're using some form of faster-than-light travel that's more advanced than our own, but not by much. Stone nodded grimly. When the Prometheus had returned with news of hostile first contact, every shipyard in the system had gone into overdrive. The asteroid belt mining stations had been converted to weapons production. Luna's industrial complexes worked around the clock. Even the civilian space stations had been retrofitted with defensive capabilities. What's our current strength? 47 combat vessels of various classes. The new Titan-class dreadnoughts Ragnarok and Leviathan are operational but untested in combat. We have orbital defense platforms around Earth, Mars, and Luna. Total crew complement across all vessels is approximately 90,000. Stone studied the tactical display. By any conventional assessment, 200 ships against 47 was hopeless. But Marcus Stone had built his reputation on winning hopeless battles. The alien commander will expect us to cluster our forces for mutual defense, he mused. They'll probably come in with overwhelming force concentrated on Earth, expecting us to surrender when faced with superior numbers. That would be the logical approach, Colonel Park agreed. Stone smiled, an expression that had struck fear into the hearts of enemies across multiple star systems. Good thing humans aren't logical. Signal all fleet commanders. We're implementing the Hornet's Nest strategy. Captain Elena Vasquez, now promoted to Commodore and commanding the fast attack group built around the Prometheus, received her orders while patrolling the outer system. Instead of falling back to Earth's defense, her ships were to position themselves along the enemy's projected approach route and conduct hit-and-run attacks designed to break up their formation. You want us to attack 200 ships with 12? Asked her executive officer, Commander Mitchell. Not attack, Elena corrected. Harass. We're going to sting them every chance we get, then disappear before they can respond effectively. The goal is to make them angry, make them make mistakes. Similar orders went out across the human fleet. Instead of concentrating for a defensive battle, Admiral Stone scattered his forces throughout the system. When the alien fleet arrived, they would find not a traditional defensive formation but a swarm of independent units operating without central coordination. The Consortium Third Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system in perfect formation. Admiral Telvoth reviewed his tactical display with satisfaction. The human ships were scattered across multiple orbital positions with no apparent coordination. It was exactly the kind of disorganized response he expected from a primitive species. All units maintain formation and advance on the primary target, he commanded. We will demonstrate proper military procedure to these children. The alien fleet had barely begun its advance when the first attacks came. Human vessels appeared from behind asteroids, struck with devastating precision, then disappeared into the debris field before the consortium ships could respond. The attacks were small-scale but continuous, like insects stinging a giant. Sir, reported his tactical officer, we've lost contact with 3 scout vessels. The humans appear to be using some form of stealth technology. Admiral Telvoth's metallic features showed the first signs of confusion. Impossible. Their technology level doesn't support advanced stealth capabilities. What the Admiral didn't understand was that human stealth technology wasn't advanced at all. It was primitive, crude, and completely effective. Instead of sophisticated energy dampeners or quantum phase shifters, human ships simply turned off all non-essential systems and coasted through space like dead rocks. It was a tactic so simple that no civilized species had ever considered it. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving multiple targeting locks from throughout the system. The humans appear to have weapons platforms on every major asteroid and moon. Telvoth studied his display in growing alarm. The orderly advance of his fleet was being constantly harassed by enemies who refused to engage in proper formation combat. Every time his ships moved to counter one threat, 3 more appeared from different vectors. Then the real attack began. The UES Ragnarok and UES Leviathan, humanity's first true dreadnoughts, emerged from the shadow of Jupiter with their escort, squadrons. The massive vessels, each over 3 kilometers in length, had been designed with one purpose: to punch above their weight class through sheer firepower and aggressive tactics. Commodore Elena Vasquez, now commanding the Ragnarok, opened communications on all frequencies. Alien fleet, this is Commodore Vasquez of the United Earth Forces. You are in violation of human territorial space. Withdraw immediately, or we will consider your presence an act of war. Admiral Telvoth almost laughed. 2 ships against his remaining fleet of nearly 200 vessels. Human commander, your courage is admirable but futile. Surrender now and we will show mercy. Elena's response came in the form of the Ragnarok's main batteries opening fire. Streams of superheated plasma crossed space at a significant percentage of light speed, striking the lead consortium dreadnought with the force of a small star. The alien vessel's shields flared, held for a moment, then collapsed completely. All human units, this is Admiral Stone. Execute Operation Swarm. What followed was unlike any space battle in galactic history. Instead of the orderly exchanges of fire between formation fleets that had characterized warfare for millennia, the human forces fought like a pack of wolves attacking a herd. Individual ships and small squadrons struck from every direction, using tactics that sacrificed formation discipline for unpredictability. The Prometheus led a group of destroyers in a maneuver that took them diving through the center of the alien formation, guns blazing in all directions. Other human ships used the system's asteroid belt as cover, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. The dreadnoughts Ragnarok and Leviathan fought like brawlers in a bar fight, trading armor for the chance to get in close and hit hard. Admiral Telvoth watched his carefully planned assault dissolve into chaos. His ships, designed for civilized warfare, couldn't adapt to enemies who ignored every rule of proper military conduct. The humans fought as if each ship was an independent predator rather than part of a coordinated force. Sir, his tactical officer reported with growing panic. We've lost 47 vessels. The humans are using ramming attacks. Indeed, several human ships had deliberately collided with consortium vessels after their weapons were exhausted. It was a tactic so primitive, so wasteful of resources, that no civilized species would consider it. It was also devastatingly effective. All units, Telvoth commanded, his voice carrying the strain of his first military defeat. Withdraw to minimum safe distance. This engagement is terminated. But Admiral Stone wasn't finished. As the alien fleet began to retreat, the hidden human forces throughout the system revealed themselves. Weapons platforms that had been disguised as asteroids opened fire. Missile batteries on Luna and Mars launched salvos that turned space into a web of destructive energy. The message was clear. Humanity would defend its home system with every resource at its disposal, using tactics that no civilized species would dare attempt. When the battered consortium fleet finally escaped to hyperspace, they left behind 73 destroyed vessels and the certainty that the galaxy had changed forever. In the aftermath of the battle, as human ships returned to their bases and crews celebrated their impossible victory, Admiral Stone stood in his command center and contemplated what they had accomplished. Humanity had fought the galactic establishment and won, but he knew this was only the beginning. "What are your orders, sir?" asked Colonel Park. Stone looked at the tactical display showing the retreating alien fleet. "Begin Phase 2 of fleet expansion. I want shipyards in every system within 50 light years. If they want to treat us as equals, they're going to get our full attention." Across the galaxy, the news of the consortium's defeat spread like wildfire. For the first time in 3 millennia, the established galactic order had been challenged successfully. Other young species began to look at their own situations with new eyes. wondering if they too might have choices beyond submission to ancient authority. High Counselor Morthek received the battle reports in his crystalline chamber on Nexus Prime. The humans had not simply defended their system, they had humiliated the consortium's most experienced fleet, using tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare. But as he studied the data, Morthek began to understand something that would reshape galactic politics forever. The humans hadn't won through superior technology or numbers. They had won through something the consortium had forgotten existed, the willingness to risk everything for principles they believed in. For 3,000 years, the galaxy had known peace through submission. Now it would have to learn a new kind of peace, one negotiated between equals rather than imposed by the strong upon the weak. The age of human expansion had begun, and the stars would never be the same.